Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. In the previous class, we have started our discussion regarding freedom, and we have also discussed the two personalities, the two famous personalities, uh, Nelson Mandela and Aung San Suu Kyi. These people have sacrificed their whole life for the cause of freedom. And we have also seen that there are two aspects of freedom. The first is the negative aspect, that is, freedom is absence of constraints. And the second is the positive aspect, under which we understand that freedom is that condition in which people get the opportunity to develop their personality in the full manner, in the complete manner. And we have also seen that why controversy arises regarding freedom. What is the conflict regarding freedom? The most important conflict regarding freedom is about constraint, is about restrictions, is about limitation. We all know that freedom cannot be without limitation. There must be some constraints, because if freedom means absence of all kind of restrictions, then it will mean that in such a situation there will not be such an atmosphere prevail in which all the people will be able to develop their personality. And in the absence of complete restraints, what happens that only few people will be able to enjoy the freedom. All the people will not be able to enjoy the freedom. So constraints are natural. It is very natural. It is very important that constraints must be there. So now the question is, the controversy is, which constraints will be considered desirable, which constraints will be considered undesirable, which constraints will be acceptable to the people, and which constraints will be unacceptable to the people. This is the question which causes controversy in the concept, in the ideal of freedom. And this answer to this question lies in the relationship between the individual and the state. So freedom means that there should be reasonable social constraints, and we can say that a free society is that society in which an individual or a group of people or a community is getting the opportunity to choose according to his own desire, to take decisions according to his own desire, to make judgments according to his own desire. So this is the concept of freedom. This is the concept of freedom of a society in which everyone is getting the opportunity to develop his or her capabilities, to develop his or her talent in the full manner. So this is the description of freedom which we have discussed. And now we will move to another section, and that is the source of constraints. What are the source of constraints? कहाँ से ये constraints आते हैं, उनका origin कहाँ से होता है? Okay, so the source of constraints. Restrictions on the freedom of individuals may come from domination and external controls. What we see that there is restrictions on individual freedom. Individuals cannot have absolute freedom, and these restrictions may come from domination and external control, because we are dominated by someone else, and those who are dominating us, those who is dominating an individual or a group or a community, that dominating authority is posing restrictions, okay, or they are external controls which are coming from the outside. Such restrictions may be imposed by force, or they may be imposed by a government through laws which embody the power of the rulers over the people, and which may have the backing of force. So what we find that the restrictions, from where these restrictions are coming, these restrictions may be imposed by the use of force, because the dominating authority is using force in order to make people follow the constraints. Okay, so what is the method of making people follow the constraints? The first and the most important way or means is use of force. If anybody is not working under the constraints, then he will be there will be use of force against that person. Then another thing is also there, that a government may put these restrictions by making laws, and the government which is putting restrictions, that government is not having the consent of the people. It has the backing of the force only, because it is powerful, and by the use of force it is ruling the people. And the laws which are made by the government, that they are also enforced with the fear of force only. Okay, so this is one of the most important way to impose restrictions on the freedom of the people. This was the form of constraints represented by colonial rulers over their subject. Okay, so we know that so many countries of Asia and Africa were under the colonial rule of British and French and Portuguese powers. And in these countries, in these colonies, what we find that the constraints were put on the people, and these constraints were implemented by the use of force, or the government was making laws for the implementation of these restrictions, and the basis of the government was not the consent of the people. The government was not having the consent of the people, but it has the backing of force only. So this was the example of in colonial government it was happening. Okay, and there is another way also, another example also, by the system of apartheid as existed in South Africa. We know that in South Africa the colonial government has adopted the policy of apartheid, and this policy of apartheid was actually uh, it this policy was imposing restrictions on the freedom of individual, and this policy has the backing of force. This was implemented by the use of force only. The government was there, government made such laws, the segregation laws were made by the government, and these laws were implemented by using the force only. Okay, some form of government may be inevitable, but if the government is a democratic one, the members of a state would retain some control over their rulers. We know the form of government about which we were talking just now, the colonial government, that government was totally undemocratic. It has nothing to do with the democratic principles. But when we consider the democratic countries, what we find that in a democracy, the people elect their representatives, and these representatives are there who form the government. So we see in a democratic government, people have some say in the government. They have their voice in the government. Some form of government may be inevitable, but if the government is a democratic one, the members of a state could retain some control over their rulers. That is why democratic government is considered to be an important means of protecting the freedom of people. So, if we consider so many forms of government is there, but the democratic form of government is the most important form of government, which is there to protect the freedom of the individual, because people are forming the government. People are electing their representatives, and these representatives are becoming a part of the government. These representatives are there in the legislature, and if it's a parliamentary form of government, then we find that the parliament the parliament controls the executive. So in this way, in a democratic country, there is more scope for the liberty and freedom of individual. But constraints on freedom can also result from social inequality. So what we see, the first source of restraint is colonial rulers. Or we can say colonial government. It's the another source of constraint. But constraints on freedom can also result from social inequality of the kind implicit in the caste system, or which result from extreme economic inequality in a society. So what we see that another source of this constraint is the caste inequality. In many societies, we find that caste system is existing, and in this caste system, all the castes are not considered to be equal. The example is our own society. Before independence, in our society, there was caste existing, which was considered untouchable, and they were deprived of all the facilities of the society. They were not permitted to go to the public places. So this kind of situation, this caste inequality is the major source of constraints. And we find that after getting independence, our constitution makers abolished this practice of untouchability by giving it a space in the fundamental rights of the people. Though still we find that in our society this kind of untouchability, the practice of untouchability is still existing. So this caste system which cause caste inequality, it is also one of the most important source of constraints. Other than this, in many societies we find that there is a very wide economic gap between different people, and this economic gap also becomes a cause of constraints. The quotation from Subhash Chandra Bose on freedom draws attention to the need for the country to work to remove such constraints. So now we are going to understand one of the quotation of Subhash Chandra Bose, which is focusing on this particular problem only. In this quotation, our attention has been drawn towards the need for the country to remove such constraints. These constraints must be removed. And what is the view of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? I am going to read it. If we are to bring about a revolution of ideas, we have first to hold up before us an ideal which will galvanize our whole life. So, this is the opinion of Subhash Chandra Bose, that if we bring about a change in our ideas, if we want to bring about a revolution in our ideas, what is required? That one single ideal which is very much important, that is the ideal of freedom, which should be taken into consideration. That ideal is freedom. But freedom is a word which has varied connotation, and even in our country the conception of freedom has undergone a process of evolution. So it is the words of these are the words of Subhash Chandra Bose, and he is saying that it is not an easy thing to define freedom. We have so many various conceptions regarding freedom, and it is not there is one definition of freedom. It's not like that, and the conception of freedom has undergone a process of evolution. The concept evolves with the time, with the situation, with the circumstances. So in our country itself, we are experiencing that this idea or this concept of freedom is evolving. By freedom, I mean all-round freedom, i.e. freedom for the individual as well as for the society. So, according to Subhash Chandra Bose, what is freedom? Freedom means all-round freedom, freedom for all, freedom for the individual, freedom for the whole society, freedom for the rich as well as for the poor. Everyone should have freedom. There should not be any discrimination on the amount of freedom people will enjoy. Everyone, be it rich, be it poor, everyone should have freedom. Freedom for men as well as for for women. There should not be any discrimination on the basis of economic status, There should not be any discrimination on the basis of gender. All men as well as women, both of them must have freedom. Freedom for all individual and for all classes. All classes, all individual, everyone must have freedom. Okay? This freedom implies not only emancipation from political bondage, but also equal distribution of wealth, abolition of caste barriers and social inequities, and destruction of communalism and religious intolerance. So, what is the opinion of Subhash Chandra Bose? That he is not talking about only political. That freedom does not mean that our country should be free from any foreign rule. Freedom means not, it's not such a simple meaning of freedom that we should be free from colonial power or any outside power. We should have our own government. No, freedom is not only this much. This is only the political freedom we are talking about. So, according to Subhash Chandra Bose, what is freedom? Freedom means equal distribution of wealth. There should not be concentration of wealth in some hands. Then abolition of caste barriers. First of all, he is talking about economic equality, freedom in economic sphere. So there should be equal distribution of resources. Then there should not be caste barriers in the society. The society should not be guided by the caste hierarchy. So social equality. He is talking about social equality and social inequities and destruction of communalism and religious intolerance. So there should not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of religion. People of all religion, they may belong to minority group, they may belong to majority group, but all must have same type of freedom. So here what we find that the concept of freedom which is given by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is closely associated with the concept of equality, and this is very true. The concept of freedom is meaningless without equality. If we are not working for equality, then in that case freedom is meaningless. Freedom has no meaning. And the same thing is said by Subhash Chandra Bose, that if we want that everyone should be free, तो क्या होना चाहिए? There should not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of economic status, on the basis of gender, on the basis of religion. Everyone should be free equally. So equality and freedom both are connected. Without equality, if there will be freedom without equality, then what will happen? That in the society, all the people will not be able to enjoy the freedom. Only a few who are politically or socially or economically or physically superior, they can only be able to enjoy the freedom. All the people will not be able to enjoy the freedom. So in this way, this concept of equality is connected with this concept of freedom is connected with the concept of equality. This is an ideal which may appear utopian to hard-headed men and women. So this is the concept of freedom which is given by Subhash Chandra Bose is utopian. Utopian means imaginary. इतना ज़्यादा कोई चीज़ अच्छा हम बना दें, इतना उसको आइडियलिस्टिक हम बना दें कि उसको हम अचीव ही नहीं कर पाएँ, दैट इज़ कॉल्ड यूटोपिया. That cannot exist in reality, that can exist only in imagination because of its ideal features. Okay, वो इतना ideal है कि उसको हम real में पा ही नहीं सकते, that is called utopia. So Subhash Chandra Bose is saying that this concept of equality which is given by him may seem utopian, but this ideal alone can appease the hunger in the soul. This is the concept of freedom which actually can be considered as real freedom for all the people of the country. So the second constraint is social inequalities. Okay, the source of constraint. The second source of constraint is social inequalities. Okay. Now we will move further. Why do we need constraints? What is the need of the constraints? We cannot live in a world where there are no constraints. It's not possible that we can enjoy freedom without constraint. And not only it is not possible, but it will be of no use. It will be meaningless. Okay, the purpose of freedom will not be achieved if there are no constraints, as I told you earlier also. We need some constraints, or else society would descend into chaos. If there is no constraint, then the society will there will be chaos in the society, because it is the constraints. Because of these constraints, our life is we are following the rules, we are following the regulations, and there is law and order maintained in the society. So our life is going on in a normal manner because of these constraints. Differences may exist between people regarding their ideas and opinions. They may have conflicting ambitions. They may competition to control scarce sources. So what we find that there will be differences in the people. There will be not only differences but conflict also. The ideas of the people are different, not only different but conflicting. The interests of the people are conflicting, and we see that all the people are competing to control the resources, and these resources are very scarce. There is scarcity of resources, so people are fighting for the resources. There are numerous reasons why disagreement may develop in a society, which may express themselves through open conflict. So, if a society is not regulated by any rules and regulations, then we see that there are so many reasons because of which disagreement may arise between people. Conflict may arise between people. It's very natural. Wherever a group of people is living together, to arise a conflict is very natural. Okay, so there disagreement may appear, and this disagreement can take the form of conflict also. It can take the form of fighting and quarrel also. We see people around us ready to fight for all kind of reasons, ranging from the serious to the trivial. So we see in our life that there are such people who are very much ready to have a fight, not only for serious things, not only for valuable things, but they are ready to fight for trivial things also, for those things also which are not so important. So this is the human nature, because human is selfish. By nature, human is selfish. So this selfish nature of human, because of this selfish nature of human, what happens that everybody is thinking for himself or herself only. First of all, the first thinking is towards our own self, because we are selfish, And because of this, what happens that conflict of interest arise. All people are trying to satisfy their interest, and these interests are clashing, these interests are conflicting. So this is the situation of the society, and in this type of society there is need to regulate the people. There is need of constraints on the freedom of the people. While driving on the road, race while driving on the roads, fighting over parking spaces, quarrel over housing or land, disagreement regarding whether a particular film should be screened, all these and many other issues. So these are the various issues on which we fight with each other. For a small thing like parking, for the parking space, we fight with each other. We fight with each other for screening of any movie. The movie should be screened or not. So there are so many numerous issues on which people fight, and in order to maintain law and order in the society, the freedom needs to be constrained. So this is all for today. Now we will discuss other things in the next class.